This is my report for my final project. When I first submitted my report for what I was going to do, I talked about making lesson plans. But in the meantime, I came up with a different question. So this represents the inquiry that I decided to pursue, and it's different than what I turned in for the initial idea. But I was really intrigued at what uses AI could do for qualitative research. And so I wanted to pursue that over making lesson plans. So I was really interested in how it could be helpful and active in the ways that are needed to do qualitative analysis, particularly because it's a really intense, time consuming type of application. And particularly if you're looking at it through a specific philosophical kind of lens, there's limitations on how much you can do as an individual when you analyze qualitative research. So I was really intrigued as to what the potentials might be. So being a librarian, one of the first things I wanted to do was to figure out what did it look like when it was in the literature. So I took a look at a variety of databases just to see what literature was available. This was the most interesting article I came across, exploring the use of artificial intelligence for qualitative data analysis. It was really interesting, covered a lot of different things. I actually used ChatGPT to make a summary of this article and to make a list of the main points, as well as to do just an annotation to see how that part of the research process, that literature review part of the research process, might be supported by AI. And I did that with a couple of articles just to see what the application was. I found that it actually was pretty good, a good standard, a good basis to pull out some main points. It was helpful in having a basis to look through, particularly as I would then go and update the different things that I found after reading it myself. So first piece of information I discovered was that there is some benefit for AI, particularly in the qualitative research process for doing information about literature reviews. Then I went into ChatGPT and asked several questions about the benefits of qualitative AI for qualitative research. Worked on developing some prompts to see what kinds of information I could just pull out from ChatGPT. A lot of it talked about more ethical kinds of things with ChatGPT, which was interesting, that it tended to pull out more of the ethical information, even when my questions weren't related to ethics and more about benefits or potentials. So that was a really interesting start. Then I also went into Copilot. BYU just recently got a subscription to Copilot, so I was interested to see what would happen in Copilot different than ChatGPT. I actually liked the information I was getting with the same questions here, because it really was talking more broadly than just the ethics of it. And additionally, the interesting thing is it actually had references, which it doesn't have in ChatGPT. And these are actually links then that go to real sources. And then it also gives these links to other resources that it found. So it was really interesting to see that it was doing this summary, but then also giving me links to additional information. And I went through and read quite a few of these to kind of get me more informed about what the context was. Additionally, the library also has started a trial for Scopus AI, and Scopus AI is really interesting because it actually uses the data in Scopus to make the queries. And so it's very, again, like what I found in Copilot, connected to the structures and things that are needed for high quality kind of literature review research. When you ask it a question, it comes back with a general summary, and you can see it links to the major references and then has a reference list right here. The other cool thing about it is it also provides some foundational documents. So it does a citation search to see, based on your question, where some highly cited articles are. The interesting thing is that it also, really pulled from qualitative research too, and not just AI. So it pulled from both parts of my questions. The other cool thing that it provides is this cool concept map where it's showing, the main question and then what are the different nodes and where it goes. So I thought that was pretty interesting to kind of see it in a visual way. And then it also provides this sense of topic experts. So the ones that they're finding that have these high H indexes, as well as a large number of citations that talk about the areas of the people's research. So I thought that was another interesting way to look at it, giving me visual representations as well as some names of people that I could then go and find additional articles. So that part of my exploration was really interesting as I looked at how different ways AI could be used for kind of that literature review portion of a qualitative research. There really are some benefits to it. It was helpful in the summarizing, and it was also helpful in finding other links and other sources for me to look at. It was also helpful to just get a broad general overview and a good summary instead of me having to read tons and tons of stuff and then to synthesize it myself. Definitely has some limitations, particularly when they're not cited or when the citations aren't leading to the right places. And there still is, of course, a lot of human interaction that you have to do. But I think, as we talked about for this project, it did save me a lot of time and made connections and things that I probably wouldn't have made as quickly in my research. So in addition to that, I was interested to see how it could actually help do data analysis. I'm currently working on this project where we're doing some research about the Children's Choice Awards that are given by each of the states. So what these are is they pick books and then they send them out to the children in their states, and the children get to vote on what their favorite is. So we are looking for, kind of where are the similarities between their nomination and voting procedures, where are the similarities between the books that they pick, and all of these types of things. And so I thought that this was a good way to kind of maybe look at some qualitative data and see what AI could provide for me. It was beneficial because it was internet data that we found that we've been taking from their websites. So there weren't any ethical concerns about using data that they might use for training the models. I know that is one of the things that I found in my reading, is that really looking at that main ethical concern and data privacy is really important. So that was nice because this wasn't that deep connected in that way because it was free data. But the other thing is this is pretty clear what I was looking for. So I was wanting to look for similarities between awards and where they were the same. And so that was a fairly straightforward kind of data analysis. So I put it through ChatGPT, but it was tricky because they had word limits. And so I would have to do it like 2 states at a time. And so that became tricky because then I wasn't able to compare all of the states in one place. So those data limits, I think, are a huge negative for doing this kind of qualitative analysis. I did use Copilot, and Copilot was, gave me a chance to do it more broadly. I did try it just a couple at a time to see how it worked, the same as in ChatGPT. And then I was able to put more in because of the there were fewer restrictions on data amount in Copilot, and it was really cool, that I could say, okay, I needed these different categories. What, like, tell me when the award started and tell me what the compare the kinds of things, right? And so it would come together and say, okay, these ones together, like, these all need to meet this following criteria for these awards. And so it was interesting to see where the different awards were comparing. That kind of analysis would have taken us a really, really long time to do with just our humans and my students as coders. So it was really nice to be able to just kind of run it through and see where it is. I also found that it actually pulled out some things that were interesting that I don't know if I would have noticed in the data. They also talked a lot about, the different kinds of genres and other types of things, and how those compared, and pulled out a few of those limitations that I may not have noticed. So I thought it was really, really interesting, and I can definitely see great potential in providing qualitative analysis with AI. I do think there's some limitations. I know in this application, I was looking for very concrete things, and it was concretely in the data. But if you were looking for more vague things, I don't know if that would work. If you could, do the right kinds of prompts to tell it what you're looking for, unless you were looking for something that had some kind of concrete connection, right? If you were looking for just overarching kind of themes. I'm really not certain how well it could do in that. But ultimately, the thing I found out in doing the work on this project is that, there's some great potential here, on both ends of the research, on the literature review end and on the data analysis end, to actually streamlining and making qualitative research easier. So I was really excited to be able to have the time to explore this, and I'm excited to see where it goes in the future. Thank you.